Hello and welcome to my tutorial on using gradient maps to color a comic book page. I love gradient maps. They're the best. They're kind of like the secret to my workflow. I typically draw everything and paint everything in Procreate. That's where I do my line work and my gray tones, and then I bring it into Photoshop where I use adjustment layers and gradient maps to get the colors that I want. Here's a page that I colored yesterday, and in all of my files, I pretty much have these 4 layers at the top, and I'll kind of use them in varying degrees of intensity. So I'm going to go ahead and bring these into to the file we're working on. Get up to the top, bring them in, and then consolidate all the windows. And here we are. So this first layer is, I just use it to, I'm going to turn off all these other ones so we can see it. I just use it to, cut the contrast of the inks. I don't want the inks to be 100% black. You can see here that that's what they start out as. And then turning this on, it just gives us a nice little a little softening. With that, I use vibrance. You won't really see too much difference on this page. It's a little different than saturation, but it can really just give a little pop to some colors, but won't do anything to most images unless it's subtle. Another thing I use is these curves to kind of unify everything. This split gradient map and the unify curves are doing the same job. So I'll definitely kind of like choose one or the other, turn one up, turn one down. But what these do is I'm bringing up the midtones just a little bit. You can kind of see where that goes. But a lot of people don't know that in your curves, you can choose to do that to each of the RGB channels. So what I'm doing here is I'm pulling up the reds in the highlights, and I'm pulling them out of the shadows. So doing something like this, you can see reds creeping into everything. And when we do that in conjunction with the green channel, bring them up in the highlights and dropping down the shadows, and then do the opposite with the blue channel where we bring it up in the shadows and down out of the highlights, we get a cross-processing effect, which was an old photography trick where you use Kodak emulsion kit with Fujifilm paper, and you get chemical reactions that weren't intended by either company, and you kind of get an interesting look in your film. And it's what a lot of the early Instagram filters were based upon. And this is a kind of a way to kind of recreate that, having colors show up in different places. By doing it as an adjustment layer, which if you don't know, you can create those by new adjustment layer curves. By doing this throughout the entire page, it's going to add some blues to the shadows, and it's going to add red and green, warm colors, yellow, to the highlights. We're doing something similar, almost like film grading, with this channel, this adjustment layer right here, the split gradient map, where we're putting more blue purples into the shadows and bringing out some warm oranges in the highlights. And if we turn, I'm only running this at like 13%, but if we turn it way up, and importantly, it's set to color. And I'm running that about 13%. And what it's doing is, it's bringing in cools in the shadows, warmth in the highlights. And this is the first time we can look at a gradient map what it does is everything at the left side of the slider, it's going to say, hey, if this is 100% black, we're applying this color to it, and this color will be applied to 100% white, and then this color, well, on this area of the gradient map would be applied to 50% gray. But I've moved this slider in so the orange is applied to everything from white to almost gray, almost 50% gray. And it's just colorizing the everything below it. So I usually keep this around 10%. Right now I'm doing it at 13. And with all of these turned on, you can see how it kind of starts to really make the page look good. Adds depth to all of those flat grays that were just sitting on the page. When it comes to coloring, let's get into it. So I'm going to start with these hoods right here. I need to split them up. Oh, this is also how I do all my layers coming out of Procreate. I don't care about storage. I got a bunch of disks, and so I just add all the layers I need, and worry about all the storage problems later. I'll go through and merge a bunch of stuff someday when I run out of space. But just not thinking that far ahead. Worried about making art the way it is. Also, this isn't the setup I usually use. When I work, I kind of have this set up so we can capture it. And, it can be watched on your phone, while you're working, or while you're on the bus, or sitting at the park, or not paying attention in a meeting with your earbuds in. Okay, so I have an action here. It's going to create a adjustment layer. Basically, it creates an adjustment layer that's a gradient map and applies it to the layer below. If we wanted to do that by hand, image adjustment gradient map. Just hit OK. Whoops, that wasn't right. Image adjustment. Oh wait, layer. Sorry, new adjustment layer, gradient map. Hit OK. And that's why I made an action, because it always gives you a mask on the layer, and I don't really need it. That just adds more data to the file. So what I do is I hold down Alt. I click on the layer, hold down Alt, get right in between the two layers, and that's going to make it apply to the layer below it. So the gradient map is only going to apply to this layer below it. You can already see it's taken the red and made it neutral. So, and then I save gradient maps that I use a lot, so I can just click on it, and let's bring that down. We want this highlight to look nice and cool, nice and big. And I want to add some purples into it. So this is where you can start to see, how powerful this can be. You can have this gray, this transition in these shades go from any color you want to whatever color you want. You can add in extra stops. You can use it to kind of do some cool inversions, where you put a light color, to represent the shadows, and then go to a dark color in the midtones, and then back to a lighter color. You can do all sorts of cool stuff and get all sorts of cool effects. And if you think about these things ahead of time when you're creating your tones, you can do some really cool stuff. I'm usually thinking about how it's going to work. A lot of the decisions I make when it comes to keeping things separated on layers has to do with, I know that I'm just going to throw a gradient map to that layer, so I'm going to keep it separate, nice and easy. Then I don't even have to worry about selections. It ends up working out pretty well, if I do say so myself. So I kind of like that. I'll see how it looks in a little bit. duplicate the layer, drag it up on top of the other hood, apply it. And in this one, so I'm trying to do something here where I don't like, I want the scene to be moody, but I don't want to have to worry about that mood throughout the entire scene. Like, how am I going to implement it if I make things dark? And making things dark and difficult to read, makes it difficult on the reader. So I'm kind of treating it like the viewer is in this reality and they are stepping into a room that is very dark, and it's going to take a couple panels for their eyes to adjust. And that way, I can set the tone early, and then, as we get down this page, I can show details in the background that wouldn't be available in that first image. And the reader knows where we are. They know the atmosphere. It's a dimly lit store. There's no power. All the light is flooding in through the limited windows, and that's where we are. So on this gradient map, I want, I need to bring in some of the red, but I'm going to let it mostly be this dark purple. I'm going to choose something more neutral and dark. The purple's getting a little too bright in this one. Something like that for now. The way I typically work, I will just start, adding layers and colors and go back and adjust, because that's what adjustment layers are good for. Just ends up working out. I want to look at this layer, outside glow. The way I kind of made this in Procreate was, I duplicated the layer. I chose a color. Fill with the foreground color. Drop it in. Deselect. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Something like that. And then just set it to screen. And so that lets the outside, be that bright white, and then you just kind of have this glow come in. And now with that kind of set like that, I'll get rid of the old one. I don't even remember what was how I made that. But now you can just go to hue saturation. It's on its own layer, its own color. I made sure it had color tones in it so that I can change them to what I want. So you could have more warm light, kind of like flooding in, and I believe I had warm light on the last page, and we can bump up that saturation. Let's see what I had on the last page. Usually when I work in landscape so that I can see both pages next to each other while I'm working. And let's see, what is this color most likely? Yeah, it's kind of an orange. Maybe a little more reddish. And turn that saturation up. Maybe double it. Kind of has that old anime feel to it. I don't know if I want that strong. Let me leave it at this for now. We'll revisit it. The other thing we could do, we could go to this layer here, which is the rim light layer, and we could do pretty much the same thing. Oops. Edit fill. Foreground color, deselect, filter. I don't want it to be as strong as the other one, just a little bit. Let's set that to screen. That way it feels kind of like the light's bouncing off a little. That might be too strong. I don't know. I'm going to turn it off. Color rim light glow. Let's leave it off, see if we're going to bring it back in later. I'll hide the sound effects for now. We need to color this bell. It's going to be fairly important. Oh, I have this screen layer in here too. It's a line screen that I add in when I want to, kind of like do blanket shadows. With these, sometimes, like let me see, what am I at? 40%? Okay, so the selection should be 100. Double that up. So, we go at fill and do black. And choose white color. Go from the middle. Do it twice. Okay, and then we can set this to like multiply so that the dots get darker towards the edges. I could have done this with an exposure map also. Whoops. Oh no, I clicked off. Where is it? Here it is. Line screen fade. And you can also add some color in to these halftone screens if you need to. Maybe something like that. And then, I don't know, maybe I want it also on his body. We got that at 40. Maybe cut it down to 30. I want it to be there. I want it to be noticed. The viewer will see it and will understand that everything's supposed to be kind of muted and knocked back, even if it's not knocking things back that much and allowing detail to go through. They'll just feel that it's there, when it shows up on these highlights. And that allows, some visual interest in various places without me having to do too much crazy color work. So I'm going to go to the bell. It's this layer right here. You can see my nasty Procreate selections. Fun stuff. Shows how clean and thorough I am. Not. Go ahead and take it off of that item. Just delete it out of there. What? Uh-oh. What was that covering? It was covering something. What was really there? What layer is that on? Okay. Deselect you. Paper. No way. Okay, there's nothing there. So let me go to, I guess that's on the same as the bars. Yeah. Okay. So here's the other thing I regularly do to clean this stuff up. I use a stamp, and I'll just select from the same layer, and I made the setting to current and below, so it's not going to take into account any of these adjustment layers, anything that's poking in from above, and is just going to kind of like patch that spot that I missed in my carelessness while I was sketching this at my daughter's basketball practice in Procreate, because that's where I do a lot of my work while being a dad. Alright, so let's go back to the bell layer, and then I will use my actions, creating a new gradient map on top, apply to it, and where's my properties? There it is. Okay. It's going to be kind of gold. And sometimes I'll just pop up some reference and select some colors. This we kind of want in the middle. Your gradient maps are going to be different based on, you know, your source values. Let's see. Ooh, that looks nice and ugly. Bring that back up there. Bring some just straight up purple into the shadows. Don't like that. For, you know, a subsequent page, you know, I kind of want the bell to be seen. I guess it's going to have to be more neutral. I really like how the dots are getting in the way on it. This is how I do my coloring. Just kind of adjust until I get what I want, and you know, and also, you know, not get what you want in this case. Not getting what I wanted, but oh well. I kind of like colors to bleed out a little bit. You know, makes it feel like one of those old, you know, Doc Martin dye color guides. You know, comic artists used to make for the separators to go in and do their thing. Oh no, did I fuck up a layer? Did I curse on stream? Am I going to have to bleep that out? Probably. There we go. I also like when sound effects are behind an object inside the art. I don't know if I'm going to leave this click. You know, like you kind of read this and you know, ding, 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 and then the door's closing, which, you know, would happen as the door's closing. It's going to go back and hit that bell. The bell's going to ring a little bit, and then you're going to hear the door close. But you know, this might be one that I want to put behind Oki. Because you know you can see this little line right here. That's where the door thing is. But I guess that won't really fit back there. I don't know. I'll figure this one out later. For now, I'm gonna mask out the click. I'm just not sure if it's helping at all. And then you know we can go and color this to match the sound that is making it. We can just sit there and say, nah, I'm going to do a gradient map. Because I love gradient maps. I mean, well, there's a gradient overlay. Not a gradient map. And hit that reverse Uno. Oh, that looks horrible. Sometimes Photoshop likes to be. Oh, it's because I have a lot going on in the layer. I have more pixels down here, and so of course I'll have to do the thing I don't want to do. Let's make a new layer. Delete that mask. Delete that mask. Go up here. Delete. Go down here. Delete. And then hide that layer. Whoops. Nope. Hide this layer. And now I'm regretting putting color on it. So, you know, just wasted a couple minutes there. Going nowhere. Not doing it. Backing up. That happens a lot. Alright. what do we got next? Okay, I should probably talk about what I'm doing here with the blue lizard skin. The way I do that is I do it with an overlay layer. It's set to overlay right now, and I'm going to bring it back to normal so you can see it's just a black and white. And I actually don't like how bright this little ankle highlight is. It's a little rough. So I'm going to create a new layer real quick and just select that area, and I'm going to choose a gray that's a little darker, and I'm going to drop it in, and I'm just going to set it to the darker color. Okay, and so that's gonna kind of cut the peak of the brightness there, and group it real quick and set the group to overlay to see how that's gonna look. And go back. Let me see. That's what it looked like before. That's what it looks like now. So maybe I don't really like it. I might have to do this a little different. Get that out of there. Get that out of there. I might just do this as an adjustment layer with curves. Could repaint it. Just being a little lazy, I guess. We're going to take it down like that and see if I can match the middle value. That's pretty close right there. And so, you know, this will kind of take the peak down a bit. See if I can get it down a little bit more without taking the mid values down. It's not exactly happening the way I thought it would. That's better. Right there. So, you know, I want the middle values to stay where they are, and I want the highlights just come down a little bit. Let's see how that looks. I'm just going to combine that in to the overlay. Set it back to overlay and compare it to what we had before. Some up here. And yeah, I like it. I like that better than what we had before. I see a little bit of, let me go back to when we blended the layers, and I'm going to go to the mask and just grab this gradient tool, and I just want to fade on the edge. I can see it, and that'll be pretty good. I'm going to save, whoops, grab the name of the layer before I drop them down, and then change this back to overlay. And so on the layer underneath, I just have flats. You know, this is the layer, and I did it so that I could kind of paint this color change on the dino skin and not have to worry about how it blends into, you know, the shape of the object and its own highlights. So it's just a way to kind of separate the color data from the shading data in a different way. And that's basically how a lot of retouching is done. So it's really how I approach a lot of these problems and try and solve them. And I'm ready to go back to this thing. I think maybe the dots on top of the bell are bothering it. So I'm going to select that and see which layer that is. Maybe it's that. Okay. So I'm just gonna do this pretty ugly. And that one. So I'm just gonna mask out the bell. So we're gonna let the bell kind of like stand out. And I'm gonna let the colors, you know, drop back a little bit. Where did I do those colors? Where's that goddamn layer at? Right above the bell. I should copy the layer name into the gradient map so I can find it when I need it. And, you know, I'll just go up to the opacity and turn the opacity down a little bit. You know, so now we don't have the dots, so it's not obscured by the line screen dots. Now we can let a little bit of that color show through. The sound effects are gonna bring the eye there, and then you know, people will notice the bell and they'll move on. You know, it's not cluttered with the dots. It's just got, you know, enough of a color difference there that people will notice it and then move on to more important things, more interesting things. And you know, like I don't really like overcoloring this stuff. You know, maybe these bends I want like a slight blue color on them. But you know, like once you know once you got everyone looking where they're supposed to look, the viewer looking where they're supposed to look, at the things they're supposed to look at, you know, move on. All right, so where are my actions? Here are my actions. Gradient map. And you know, I'm gonna make this blue. So we'll set a shadow, color, and set. And that'll be fine as the highlight there. We'll add a tone. It should be. Just a little bit. I'm just looking around at it for a color that I kind of like. I like that. You can see it if you look for it, but it's not jumping out. Hit OK there. I might go more neutral in the full shadow. Let the oops. Let me cancel on that. I'll let the adjustment layers up top do most of the work. Maybe a little purplish. Nah, I cancel. Ah, that's the way I like it. I think I want these bags to pop out a little more. You know, we need people to. They haven't figured it out yet that this is a pharmacy. So I have my drugs layer. This is the pill bottles that I rendered, and then you know the bags, and I think the labels on the orange pill bottles, and I should probably you know do that next. Get a little bit of brighter color on it. So on this drugs layer. How do I want to do this? I guess I'll do adjustment layer of just curves. All right, apply it to just the drugs layer, and then here. I think I might separate it between the two panels. I want these to kind of like show up in this panel, in the second panel. You know, so you just quickly get the idea. Oh yeah, they're at a pharmacy. Totally at a pharmacy. So they see those. They see the drugs in the background. They're totally at a pharmacy. And then we get down, and they need to be a little darker here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a mask. We got the mask layer right here. Delete it, bring it back. And then I'll duplicate this. Whoops, something happened there. What happened? It's supposed to be here. Oops, oh, that's what's going on. Duplicate layer, yeah. No. No. I wanted to duplicate the curves. There we go. And then both of those applied, and then I'll just invert this. Just invert that layer. Now this one is affecting the bottom panel, and I can bring those down because, you know, we're still in a dark room. The viewer's pupils haven't adjusted that much, and the next couple pages will make things brighter. Maybe something like that. Man, I want to cut some of the real hard shadows. No. That's pretty good right there. Just a little bit of an adjustment. And I'm going to go to this text right here. The sign text. And I think I have it as blue right now. Adjustment, hue saturation. I want to have a red tone. A little bit of a red tone. It's too purple. Punch it up so I can see what tone I'm actually getting. Where are you at? There we are. All right, I'll cut that down. All right. You know, all signage in a pharmacy is I think red instead of blue. It's by law. Something stupid. All right. What do I need to do? I need to do the orange bottles. So these, I think I can just get away with a hue saturation adjustment layer. Layer, adjustment layer, hue saturation. Hit OK, apply it there. Don't need the layer mask. And I definitely want to turn the saturation up a little. And I think I want to lighten it a little. Something like that. I think that's like perfect. And let me do his skin. So there's Oki. Now Oki, you know, I have him as, you know, a total shape. It has, you know, glove and this and that. So for this one, I'm going to have to cut out what I don't want to color. Just kind of do this quick and sloppily. I hope everyone's not terribly disappointed in how sloppily I do this. All right, so layer, new adjustment layer. Oh wait, I should use my actions. No, it's not going to do it because those actions aren't going to take into account my current selection. So new adjustment layer, gradient map. All right, and then choose this one. Yeah, that one's pretty good. I don't know. I think this might be done. Oh wait, use this crutch. Can use a little bit of love. Just with curves. Apply the layer, delete the layer mask. No reason to have the extra data. You know, I just want to bring up the highlight a little bit. Even though, I don't know, it's kind of in the foreground, little foreground framing that didn't really work out the way it was supposed to. But something like that. you know, it's a neutral tone, but it's picking up color influence from those adjustment layers up top. And this might be it. Like I might just look at this in a couple hours and decide that this is done, or you know, I could sit there and tweak it here and there. I often do that. I step away, come back, look at it, see something I don't like, want to change it. But this looks pretty dang good. All right, let's go full screen so you know everyone can really check this out in all its glory. Looks great. Looks awesome. You can check it out on monkeycrusher.com. Read the full story. It's a spy-fi thriller with killer robots and, you know, subterfuge, technology, tomfoolery, all sorts of fun stuff. It's Fear of a Robot Planet meets 007 meets something else. You guys will love it. It's great. Peace. I'm out.